Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Girl Time with Court and Stace. We have a wonderful segment today. We are going to be talking about an array of things that affects your lives and that has affected our lives.
And we're going to talk about healthy relationships.
That's what we're going to talk about. Now, we're trying to be politically correct, but we are just going to vibe off of what we learned today and what we've been watching, our experiences, and what we've seen on television.
So we can start off by Stacey and I just attended this event, this seminar called Healthy Relationships, and it's also about domestic violence. And I thought it was actually good.
It was really good. It was really good.
Initially, wasn't all that thrilled about going.
A little optimistic.
I was a little optimistic because, but I'm glad that I went and learned a lot about healthy relationships. And so we want to talk a little bit about that, and then I think we want to talk about it's kind of like a spinoff into Red Table Talk, and that's been like a hot topic for the last 2 weeks, and that's more of healthy relationships. So let's start, let's just focus here, and we're gonna talk about the event that we attended, and then we'll branch off a little. So.
All right. So what did you take from the event? I was told to be quiet because they need to hear from somebody who wasn't in that type of field.
Well, of course, Stacy let the speaker know that she was a therapist.
Well, she asked. What are you talking about? She asked.
She did it.
What we did.
Yeah.
What was our profession?
Yeah,
So, I explained some of the things that, not some of the things, but a lot of things that she talked about. I had experiences with, whether it's with, the people I work with, my clients, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and she said it was interesting because she said that 1 out of 4 women are in an abusive type of relationship, whether it's physical abuse or mental abuse, verbal abuse, some type of abuse. Now, I sat there and I thought about, do I know anybody that has been in an abusive relationship? I mean, that's a good thing that I don't know anyone. And then she gave us also tips on, what to say to a person if you know of someone that has been in an abusive relationship or that's currently in, and just to be helpful and a friend to them. But in terms of like abusive relationships,
how do you not know if people, like, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. I was in a physically abusive relationship, and I think there's so many of us that are in emotionally abusive relationships or was in, especially in our younger years. You don't really know exactly what
things weren't really defined back in the day.
What's not a real unhealthy relationship versus a healthy one. Because sometimes when, you think your man is calling you and you're just like, he keeps calling me and calling me and he don't want me to hang with this person.
He loves me. He's just jealous because he don't want me to spend time with other people or whatever. Yeah, that type of thing. That's like emotional abuse, right? And then tonight, another takeaway, she said something about like financial abuse. And I never thought about that. People don't want to leave their homes in fear of, they can't finance themselves. They can't live without that rent being paid. They can't live without that person's finances.
Well, that's that codependency. But I think when she was talking about like financial abuse, it's like, you're nothing without me, and I'm gonna pay for you to do this and do that, and you need my money to survive, and you won't have this house or this car.
Yeah, because they can't afford to take care of themselves. Without that mate. And then also too, as you remember, she said too about she asked the question, well, why do you think people don't leave? Why do women stay in situations like that? And so her response was, she said the number one answer is because they love them. And how many times have you said that? And they're thinking about what used to be and not what's currently going on.
Right.
Like, he's kicking my butt now, but I remember when we were in a situation where we loved each other.
We always want to live in the past.
Right. And so the person, the victim, is just really focused on the past and how great it was. And they're like stuck.
Right. But you know what is so funny? Another thing was, and I've always heard this, like, you know, your eyes will adjust to what you see. So if I'm getting abused verbally each and every day, I'm going to normalize it. And it's not going to be anything from me. Oh, I'm going to say he or she is just, she's just angry right now. Let me leave them alone or whatever the case may be.
If I'm quiet, then maybe he'll be quiet or whatever.
So you begin to normalize it. But somebody who's on the outside looking in is like, wait a minute. Do you not understand that your spouse or your partner just really disrespected you or, you know, violated your whole existence by, you know, hitting you or belittling you or whatever the case may be.
But speaking of the whole normalizing thing, before we jump off of that, I wanted to say that also by normalizing it, and this is a part of your life, when you have children and these kids are seeing this every single day and they're a part of this toxic relationship that you're in, they're saying that statistics say that either the children, either they will become an abuser or will become a victim. So you know, women need to think about that. You know, you think that you're with this man because you want to be here for the kids, but you're actually doing an injustice to your kids. Because your kids are seeing this normalized in their households,
thinking that it's okay.
Well, mommy, she gets beat up every now and then, but you know, daddy loves her anyway. She loves daddy anyway. You know, that type of thing.
Well, you know what's so crazy is because growing up, it was like a lot of my friends' parents were or fathers were physically and verbally abusive to their mothers, and you're thinking, you're seeing this, you're in your household, and you go to your neighbor's household and you hear them in the background arguing, and now you know they're fighting and so forth, and then you see your best friend's sister in an abusive relationship because her mother was in an abusive relationship,
and it's just a repeated cycle,
right? But you begin to normalize and say, okay, this is how a man shows a person love, or this is how a woman shows a man love, which is crazy. But you know what? When you're seeing this every day and you don't see anything that's other or a healthy relationship,
it becomes your normal.
Right. It becomes weird. Your parents or your brother and your sister and her boyfriend, they don't argue, they don't fight, they don't, you know, and you're shocked about this, as opposed to me per se coming out of if I was in a household where, you know, everything was all, you know, fine and dandy. Yeah, you have your disagreements, but nobody's abusive, or it's odd for me to see, you know, a parent, you know, fight physically and so forth, you know, and I've seen it all in relationships. Okay. I'm just giving an example of a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship, and what is exactly the definition of a healthy relationship. Like, what is it, you know? Right. If I've never seen it before.
Well, you know, fortunately, I'm going to say, you know, that I have not personally been in a physical abusive relationship. If anything, I'll
kind of lost your temper a couple of times. She was an abuser. Not to make a light of it, because it's not to make a light of it. Just but like when you think about it, you're like, well, damn.
Because I sat there at this event and I thought about it, and you know, especially when they said the statistics 1 out of 4 women. And, you know, I started thinking, well, do I have any friends, or, you know, and I started thinking, do I have any family members? Do I have any loved ones that I don't see the signs? I'm not catching the signs, or whatever the case may be. And I started thinking like, I'm not, you know, unfortunately, I, you know, wasn't in an abusive relationship. And, I do remember though, I remember me hitting someone and you know, losing my temper and hitting someone, you know, back in the day, and the person hit me back, And, you know, it wasn't like punching or whatever, but I guess that would be abusive,
right?
Yeah, they defended themselves, right?
It is.
Right.
But you think it's normal. Like, you think, okay, right. We just got into an argument.
Yeah, I was like young, right?
This is what I'm saying. You know, you're young and you don't understand.
But then it was like, then I just like went crazy, like berserk. And,
and I think we've all had those moments. But, you know, I can say I've been in a physically abusive relationship, even though I saw things like this growing up and swore I would never. Then I find myself in it and say, whoa, wait a minute. You know, this is not what I want to be. And this is not the type of relationship I want to be in. I know what a healthy relationship is supposed to be like.
And this ain't it.
And this is not it. Not when you're putting your hands on me. But I do agree, you know, you're going to have disagreements. But when it comes to a point where you're belittling me or I'm belittling another, it's a
toxic relationship.
Right, that's very toxic. Some people get caught up in toxic relationships and saying that I need that drama. I had this one person say to me, I need drama. And like, I like all the argument because that shows that they care. And I looked at this young lady and I was like, in awe. Like, that was not normal to me. Like, I couldn't believe it. But in her world, this is what she saw growing up, and this is what she thought what love was, and it's healthy. Not that. You know, and it's sad, and it's, you know, so unfortunate. So I say all that to say we have to keep educating our daughters, educating our children, our nieces, our nephews.
Youth around you and everything. Because
being mindful of how we react in situations around others, with our spouses, with our significant others.
Right, because I was just thinking you could be the strongest person in the world, but, you know, love will make you weak. And do crazy dumb stuff.
Right. You be
and so, you know, you could be a sucker for love. You could be in a relationship and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, you get hit. And then, you know, oh, well, maybe he just had a bad day. Maybe. All right.
Maybe situations like this happen that are beyond your control.
Right.
This is terrible.
It is terrible.
Sorry about that. This is what happens when you tape and you just like, you know, you don't have a production team on your side yet, because we're going to speak it into existence.
I know that's right.
Yes, we are. Okay, so needless to say,
just let it go. Let it go right here. Maybe.
But we're going to keep it just like this because we're going to keep it professional. We're going to keep talking to you all because
no, I think you can let it go.
We are winners in this. It's a little crooked, though.
It's fine. As long as I think it's yes.
So I want to just touch base on some of the things that, you know, defines a healthy versus an unhealthy relationship. So these are some questions we're going to just vibe and ask each other and vibe off of, you know.
And then I want to get to the red table talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Couple of things. So there was this quiz that we had to take, a true and false quiz. And some of the questions were like so obvious. And some of the questions you're just like, you know, you get an aha moment and say, wow, was I in that situation? So one thing that I really like, well, not so much like, is that kind of like struck me as a huge conversational piece was number 7. Couples in healthy relationships don't argue. I used to think like that. Raise your hand if you were a victim of that nonsense. Because I was. You were? See?
No, okay. Okay. What I used to think is that if things were easy, that, because this is, my mom used to say, if things are easy, it's of God, right? So if you're arguing, then that's a toxic relationship. That's how my interpretation was of it. If you're arguing with your mate and you're constantly arguing, then this is not of God.
Okay.
That's how I interpret it. But now you could argue on the other side of it, saying that sometimes, you know, what was the question? Couples in healthy relationships
don't argue.
You could say, well, you know, maybe that should support communication, or I don't know.
Well,
what's your take of it?
Because I used to really think that, they're such a happy couple. They must never have any type of disagreements. They must never raise their voice. They must never get mad at each other. No, seriously.
But it's something.
And sometimes I do kind of like feel like do y'all ever disagree? Y'all don't get into arguments. I say agree to disagree is good, because that means that you have an opinion and your opinion is valued, and I have to respect your opinion and you need to respect mine. Now, there is a way to communicate that is healthier, and sometimes we react off our emotions. Raise your hands if you were that one, because I am an emotional being, soft and pink, and sometimes I can act crazy.
Right.
And if that person can walk away and say, all right, I'm gonna leave you alone right now because this ain't gonna go the right way. That's respect. So, and sometimes I have to fall back and say, let me chill, because I was acting a little cray.
So actually, I think that could bring us into the segment of the whole Red Table Talk thing.
Yes.
So basically, these 2 weeks, there was a part 1 and a part 2. On Red Table Talk, that is something that Jada Pinkett Smith, the wife of Will Smith, she has a Facebook podcast, where she and her mom and her daughter, they sit at a red table and they talk about a variety of different things. So part 1 and part 2 was their premiere, their season whatever premiere, and then really it was great. Actually, it was great. And so they had Will Smith. So they had a part 1 and a part 2. So part 1, basically, just a little synopsis of that. Part 1, it basically explains how they met, and which, interesting, I did not know that Will Smith actually always wanted Jada Pinkett Smith when she played on Different World, and then they were friends. But they were friends while he was married. Now, I
don't think it was like a friend. I
kind of didn't like that.
No, but I didn't take it as that they were like friends where I'm flirting friends. But it's like they knew each other. They would converse. Like, I see you.
But is that? But see, so of course, you could. There's two sides of everything, and I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't add a little controversy. So, but in terms of healthy relationships. Now, with just that, dissecting that little part. Now, they were friends while he was married to his first wife and had a child. Is that a healthy relationship for him to have had a relationship with Jada Pinkett?
Yeah, but it wasn't like
a friendship.
I didn't take it as like a sexual relationship where he's calling her on.
He said that it wasn't sexual. Yeah, but they both said it wasn't.
But
a sexual
it didn't seem like it was like, to me. This is how I took it. To me, it was like we're both in the same field of entertainment, media, so on and so forth. So when I see you, hey girl, hey, how you doing?
No, but he admitted that he had an attraction.
I mean,
he had a physical attraction. So he went on the set of Different World to meet her.
But he met his wife.
But he met his wife instead. So he had an attraction for her. So therefore, later on becoming friends, even though it wasn't physical, but is that a healthy relationship for your man, your husband,
that's
your
attracted
boo,
to another woman,
to have a
friendship
with another
person? But we don't know the extent of that friendship. Was it every once in a while I see you on set, hey, how you doing? We have a conversation, talk,
Stace,
chit chat.
Let's get real. Let's get real up in here.
Seriously,
all right? If you found out your husband had like a friendship with a woman, you would not like that. I know me, I would not like to find out that my husband had these deep conversations and with another woman. I'm sorry, sometimes you're bonding, just like what happened with them. They bonded so much just in conversation, whether it was sexual or not, because they're saying it wasn't. But
you felt like the bond because he was sexually attracted to her.
Right, and because it was a bond. So it was easy.
But
so
did
once
she know?
Once they divorced, he said the first thing he did
was call Jada.
Was call her. So obviously you wouldn't call her.
If they
you
wasn't
wouldn't
like
call her
with each other.
if you didn't have some type of feelings for her. If you didn't know her, how did you know her number to call her?
He also wouldn't have been in that damn stall crying, saying he married the wrong person.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to get a divorce.
Right.
I don't know.
So I of course I love playing like devil's advocate because that's what I do. But
she likes to stir the pot.
I like to stir the pot, and I like to think of it on another side. So but again, healthy relationships. I think that is is that a healthy relationship?
Well, I don't know.
For your husband, your mate, your wife, whoever it is, to have a bonding relationship
with another female that he's
with
attracted to,
another person. So whether it's your husband, your wife, or whatever the case may be, would my husband like to know that I have
a bonding relationship with another man?
Right. Would your husband?
Of course not.
Exactly.
Of course not.
Exactly.
However, if I'm not attracted to that person, because my husband has friends at work that he's not attracted to.
I think it's a difference between
because
a female friend, like, co-workers, for instance.
Yeah,
you're going to see them every day. You're going to see the co-workers. I may come home and say, oh, yeah, such and such at, whatever. I work in IT, so there's a lot of guys there, in that field. So, you're going to come across guys. But I'm talking about someone that you're on the phone with after hours, after work hours.
We don't know if they were on the phone afterwards. They didn't
I'm not saying just about Will Smith. I'm just saying in terms of health. We're just talking about healthy relationships.
Well, you shouldn't have to go to somebody else to be on the phone chit-chatting and saying,
right,
if it's not your husband and, You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But
I thought it was no other dude after hours saying, have you seen this? Let's talk.
Right, but I thought it was pretty questionable that, like in part 1 where he says, part 1 he says he and Jada had this long conversation. Now he was still married. He had this long conversation. They talked for hours. The next day or something, he went to dinner with his wife. And he was sitting there and he realized at that moment that he was not the person, that she was not the person that he felt that he should have been with. Now, he felt so strongly against, his values were, marriage. He was pro-marriage. So he said that he went into the men's room, he cried because he really got an epiphany, like, I'm not supposed to be with this woman. Which is deep. That is really deep when you could really admit
that you married the wrong person.
Right, and you admit your wrongs, right? But I just find that it's interesting that this happened after that long conversation that he had.
So you think it was some type of flirting, you know what? It could have been that.
I'm not saying flirting. I'm saying bonding.
It was an energy.
Is that the question? Is it a healthy relationship?
You shouldn't be bonding with another woman.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, exactly. Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
You could bring it on home. Bring it on home. Do I want my man?
No.
Bring it on home. Exactly.
Do I want my woman with another woman?
Do I want
bond with me? You shouldn't have to bond. But I don't know if he consciously knew it was like bonding.
He may not have, but
he was attracted.
We're not saying that it was premeditated or like this was supposed to happen. They set this up. No, it obviously it wasn't something that they set up, and it wasn't premeditated because he had no desire to divorce his wife.
But she divorced him.
But the fact that he had dealings with another woman and had these conversations, deep conversations with another woman, I feel is inappropriate. So that's my take on it.
Wow. And I say,
loved the show though. And we could sit here and
go
I know
back and forth because we don't know all the details.
We don't know
if they consciously
remember,
was like flirting.
They put it out there. And
so for the world to speculate.
It's for the world to speculate, and it's also too they know, they've said it, that people are going to judge them, and that people are going to have their own perspectives and things like that. Now, because we are talking about healthy relationships, I just thought that was something to throw out there. And I mean, we could really make this to a part 2, part 3, because we could really truly dissect that whole.
I say one thing.
Program.
I can say this.
What?
They're very Hollywood with their relationship. That's the only thing I can say. They're a little bit too Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to agree to disagree. They run their household, their marriage the way they run it. I run my marriage the way my husband and I, we run our marriage the way we do. You and your husband run. Everybody's different.
Yep.
But I say all that to say they're very Hollywood.
Well, maybe we'll do
Flip
that.
the hair, Hollywood.
We'll leave that for part 2 then. Because yes, they were very Hollywood. and it
traditional.
What's
traditional?
And then
what's
it truly
non-traditional
left another impression
on all of us.
On all of us. Because
and this is why they know people are gonna chit chat.
Exactly, because that part 2.
Left you thinking like,
right.
Wow.
It was a lot of vague terms, a lot of,
symbolic interpretations.
Right. High level wording. They would not get deep. They want to say, oh, we're going to spill everything out and put everything on the red table.
But it's none of anybody else's business.
It's
like
not.
I said.
It's not. We don't tell you everything.
Their relationship is their relationship. There's some things that I love. Some things that I, get the aha moment with. There's a lot of things that I'm like, I don't.
But what we did love, Stacey and I talked
their
about this, their communication.
It's key.
And also, but
Absolutely
then remember they said that their communication took years and years so to develop into the communication that they have now. Going back to what I said, before, is when I said that my mom had said, when things are not,
not godly,
right? When things are not going smoothly, it's not of God. Maybe you could look at it and say, well, things just need to be worked on. I don't know. It's all interpretation.
One thing that I do admire is their communication. I think they do genuinely love each other. You can tell, you can feel that they have a strong energy and a chemistry, a good chemistry. And when you find that one, there is no other, regardless.
There is no other. She said it's sexy. There is no other.
Yes.
So anyway, let's wrap this up because we went longer than what we normally do, but
it's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic, and I really want to. I think we could really talk about this some more and really branch it out because there were so many other facets of their. Bless you. There were so many other facets of that part 1 and part 2, and we just talked a little bit about part 1.
So we will catch you next week. With another rendition of Girl Town with Court and Stace. Conversations for your mind, body, and soul.
Oh, yeah.
Chit chat with you later, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.